I froze at the doorstep, my heart racing as my husband snatched my baby from my arms. His cries cut through the silence, sharp and agonizing. My mother-in-law sneered, "You're not coming inside until you do what we asked." My knees felt weak, but I begged, "Please, don't do this." My husband gave a cruel smile, retreating into the house with my baby. "When you're ready to give me what I want, you know where to find us." The door slammed shut, leaving me outside in the cold, powerless and desperate. Moments later, the door creaked open again, and what happened next was even more terrifying. Hello, my name is Eleanor Jackson. I'm 32 years old, and I own one of the most successful interior design companies in the country. Building my company from the ground up was no easy feat, but I poured my heart and soul into it, determined to make my dream a reality. I had always believed in hard work and perseverance, and my business was the living proof of those values. Life, I thought, had rewarded me for my efforts. 3 years ago, I met Nathan, the man who I thought was the answer to my prayers. We met at a charity gala organized by one of my high-profile clients. Nathan, with his charming smile and impeccable manners, caught my attention immediately. He seemed intelligent, thoughtful, and completely smitten with me. From the moment we exchanged pleasantries, he made me feel like I was the only person in the room. Our courtship was straight out of a romance novel. He would surprise me with flowers, plan elegant dinners, and even accompany me to my client meetings, claiming he wanted to understand the world I was so passionate about. He always said he admired my ambition and independence, and I believed him. Nathan appeared to be my perfect match in every way. When he proposed a year later, it felt like a dream come true. He went all out, arranging a candlelit dinner on the rooftop of a luxury hotel with the city skyline twinkling in the background. As he knelt down and held out the ring, tears welled up in my eyes. I thought I had finally found someone who appreciated me for who I was, someone who would stand by my side no matter what. Our wedding was a grand affair, attended by family, friends, and many of my business associates. It was the happiest day of my life, or so I thought. Nathan's promises of a bright future together filled me with hope. Little did I know, the man I had just vowed to spend my life with was hiding secrets that would soon shatter my world. As I walked down the aisle, surrounded by people cheering and celebrating our love, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and joy. I was confident that I had made the right choice. At that moment, I was sure that nothing could ever go wrong. But sometimes, the biggest storms come without warning. The honeymoon phase was blissful, or at least it seemed that way. Nathan continued to shower me with attention, and for a while, I believed I had truly found my happily ever after. We traveled, shared dreams, and started making plans for our future. But, like a mask slipping off a performer's face, Nathan's true nature began to surface. It started with small remarks, subtle comments about how much time I spent working or how a wife shouldn't have to worry about managing a business. I brushed them off, thinking he was just adjusting to our new life together. But the comments grew sharper, more cutting, until they felt like tiny daggers chipping away at my confidence. One evening, as we sat in the living room, Nathan brought up my company for the first time. "Eleanor," he began, his tone casual but his eyes calculating, "have you ever thought about letting someone else help you manage the business? You've worked so hard for so long. You deserve to take a step back." I smiled, assuming he was concerned about my workload. "Nathan, I love what I do. It doesn't feel like work to me." He nodded, but I noticed his jaw tighten. "I just think," he continued, "that maybe it's time you let me handle things. As your husband, I should be involved in your successes too." The suggestion caught me off guard. "Nathan, that's sweet, but I've built this company from scratch. It's my passion. Besides, you don't have experience in design or business management." His face darkened, but he forced a smile. "Of course, sweetheart. I just want to help you. We're partners now, aren't we?" I dismissed the conversation, not realizing it was just the beginning of his plan. As the weeks passed, Nathan's focus on my company grew. He started dropping hints about consolidating our finances and merging our assets. Whenever I disagreed, his charm faltered, revealing a side of him I hadn't seen before, a side that was cold, demanding, and relentless. Then his mother, Vivian, entered the picture. Vivian had initially seemed like a pleasant woman, elegant and polite. But once we were married, she began visiting frequently, offering unsolicited advice on everything from my cooking to how I managed my company. Her words dripped with condescension, but I tried to keep the peace for Nathan's sake. One afternoon, as I was preparing for an important client meeting, Vivian cornered me in the kitchen. "Eleanor," she said, her voice sharp, "you're a wife now. Your focus should be on building a home, not running around like a career woman." I forced a polite smile. "Vivian, my work is important to me. It's a part of who I am." She smirked, crossing her arms. "Well, it's about time you started thinking about who you're married to. Nathan deserves a wife who knows her priorities." I didn't respond, but her words stung. It became clear that Vivian wasn't just disapproving of my career. She was actively trying to undermine me. Nathan's true intentions became undeniable a month later. Over dinner one evening, he bluntly said, "Eleanor, I think it's time we talk seriously about transferring the company. As your husband, I can handle things while you focus on starting a family." The audacity of his statement left me speechless. I put down my fork, staring at him. "Nathan, are you asking me to hand over the company I've spent years building? Why would I do that?" He leaned forward, his expression hard. "Because I'm your husband, and this is what's best for us." "For us? Or for you?" I shot back, my voice trembling with anger. Vivian, who had invited herself over for dinner, chimed in. "Eleanor, don't be so selfish. Marriage is about trust and compromise. A good wife knows when to support her husband." I stood my ground, refusing to budge. "This is my company, and I'm not giving it up. Not for anyone." Nathan's charm was gone, replaced by a simmering rage. "You're making a mistake, Eleanor," he hissed. For the first time, I felt a chill run down my spine. The man I had married was not who I thought he was. A few months after that fateful dinner, I discovered I was pregnant. At first, I felt a glimmer of hope that the news would soften Nathan and Vivian, that perhaps they would realize what truly mattered, our growing family. But I was wrong. Instead, the pregnancy seemed to intensify their efforts to control me and my company. Nathan's demands became more aggressive, and Vivian's visits more frequent. Every decision I made, whether it was about work, the nursery, or even my health, was scrutinized and criticized. "You shouldn't stress yourself with all this work," Vivian would sneer. "It's bad for the baby." Nathan echoed her sentiments, but his concern always came with a sinister edge. "If you won't listen to me, Eleanor, think about our child. Do you want to risk everything because you're too stubborn to let me help?" Their idea of help was clear. It wasn't about supporting me, but about seizing control. As my pregnancy progressed, the emotional abuse became relentless. I would wake up to Vivian's voice, listing my faults, and fall asleep to Nathan's arguments about the company. The stress was overwhelming, but I clung to my principles, refusing to give in. One evening, about 2 weeks before my due date, the situation reached its boiling point. I was sitting in the living room, cradling my aching back, when Nathan stormed in, followed closely by Vivian. "Eleanor," Nathan said sharply, "we've discussed this enough. You need to transfer the company to me. Now." I looked at him in disbelief. "Nathan, I'm about to have our baby. Can we not do this right now?" Vivian scoffed. "Excuses, excuses. This is what happens when women think they can handle everything. If you had just listened to Nathan from the start, none of this would be happening." The pain in my abdomen was worsening, but I stayed firm. "The answer is no. It's always been no, and it will stay no. This company is mine, and I won't let you take it." Nathan's face darkened, his jaw clenching. "Then you'll regret it, Eleanor. Mark my words." As the argument escalated, I felt a sharp, intense pain. I doubled over, clutching my belly. "Nathan, I think the baby's coming," I gasped. Instead of rushing to help me, he stood there unmoving. "You brought this on yourself," he said coldly. "Sign the papers, and I'll take you to the hospital." Tears streamed down my face as I realized the depths of his cruelty. Vivian stood beside him, nodding in agreement.
He's right.
Why should he help when you're so ungrateful? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Nathan, please, I begged, my voice trembling with desperation. Our child. Don't do this. He crossed his arms, his expression indifferent. You know what I want. In that moment of despair, I remembered my phone in my pocket. With shaking hands, I dialed the only person I could trust, Ryan, my former college classmate and one of the few people who had always supported me. Ryan, I sobbed into the phone. I need help. Please come quickly. I'm in labor and they won't take me to the hospital. His voice was calm and reassuring. Stay where you are, Eleanor. I'm on my way. Within minutes, Ryan arrived, bursting into the house with a determined look on his face. He didn't spare Nathan or Vivian a glance as he helped me to my feet. You're going to be okay, he said softly, guiding me out the door and into his car. At the hospital, Ryan stayed by my side through every agonizing contraction. His presence was a beacon of hope, a reminder that not everyone in my life had turned against me. Hours later, I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. As I held my son for the first time, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. No matter what, I would protect him. Nathan and Vivian had taken so much from me already, but I wouldn't let them take my child. After a few days in the hospital, I was finally discharged. Holding my newborn son, Liam, in my arms felt like a miracle. His tiny hands grasped my finger, and for a moment, I forgot all the pain and betrayal. He was my entire world now, and I vowed to protect him at all costs. Ryan drove us home from the hospital, and I couldn't thank him enough for everything he had done. You don't have to keep thanking me, Eleanor, he said with a kind smile. I'll always be here for you. His words were a comfort, but a sense of dread loomed as we pulled up to the house. Nathan and Vivian were waiting for me at the door. Their expressions were unreadable, but I knew this wasn't going to be a warm welcome. As I stepped out of the car, cradling Liam, Nathan's eyes locked on me, cold and calculating. Vivian stood beside him, her arms crossed, her face twisted into a scowl. We need to talk, Nathan said sharply, blocking the entrance. I hesitated, holding Liam closer. Can we do this later? I just got home with our baby, Nathan. No, he snapped. This can't wait. Nathan stepped closer, his voice dropping to a threatening tone. You need to sign the company over to me, Eleanor.
Now.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Nathan, I just had a baby. Can't you think about something other than my company for once? Vivian scoffed. Don't play the victim, Eleanor. You've had every opportunity to do the right thing, and you've refused. Now there are consequences. What consequences? I asked, my voice trembling. Nathan smirked, and before I could react, he reached for Liam. Until you do as we say, you're not getting him back. No, I cried, clutching Liam tightly. But Nathan was stronger, and with Vivian's help, they pried my son from my arms. Vivian held Liam as Nathan turned back to me. You're not coming inside this house until you agree to transfer the company. And you're not seeing your son until you do. I felt my knees buckle, tears streaming down my face as I pleaded with them. Please, Nathan, don't do this. He's just a baby, our baby. But they didn't care. Vivian sneered. You brought this on yourself, Eleanor. When you're ready to cooperate, you know where to find us. They slammed the door in my face, leaving me standing on the porch, broken and helpless. My world had just fallen apart, and the people I once trusted had turned into my worst enemies. I staggered back to Ryan's car, sobbing uncontrollably. He rushed to my side, placing a comforting hand on my shoulder. Eleanor, what happened? They took him. I choked out, barely able to form the words. They took Liam. They won't let me see him unless I give them the company. Ryan's expression darkened, his jaw tightening. This isn't over, Eleanor. We're going to fight this. They won't get away with it. His determination gave me a glimmer of hope. As he drove me to my parents' house, I realized I wasn't alone in this battle. I had someone I could trust. Someone who believed in me. Sitting in the back seat, I wiped away my tears, and looked out the window. Nathan and Vivian thought they had won, but they had underestimated me. I wasn't going to let them take everything from me. This was just the beginning of my fight to take back what was mine, my son, my company, and my life. The morning sunlight streamed through the windows of my parents' guest room, but it brought no warmth to the cold despair I felt inside. Liam's absence weighed heavily on my heart. I sat at the edge of the bed, clutching my phone, replaying the events of the previous day. Nathan and Vivian had crossed every line, but I wasn't going to let them break me. Ryan entered the room with a cup of coffee and a determined look. "I've been thinking all night," he said, handing me the cup. "Nathan and Vivian want you to feel powerless, but you're not. You have resources, Eleanor, and people who care about you. We're going to get Liam back and make sure they never hurt you again." His words were a lifeline in my sea of hopelessness. "But how's?" I whispered. "They have everything, the house, Liam. They even try to take the company." Ryan pulled up a chair and sat down across from me. "First, we get legal help. Your rights as a mother and the owner of that company are protected by law. Second, we make sure you're safe. They've already shown they're willing to cross boundaries, so we need to be prepared for anything." Later that day, we met with Amelia Walker, an attorney Ryan had contacted on my behalf. Amelia was sharp, confident, and unflinching in her assessment of the situation. "Here's what we'll do," Amelia began, pulling out a notepad. "First, we file an emergency custody order. Liam is your child, and no court will side with a father who uses a baby as leverage. Second, we'll protect your company. We'll lock down your assets and make sure Nathan can't touch a dime." Her confidence bolstered my spirit. "And what about Nathan and Vivian's?" I asked. Amelia's expression hardened. "Their actions border on criminal coercion and abuse. We'll pursue legal consequences for both of them." Over the next few days, I worked tirelessly with Ryan and Amelia. We collected evidence, text messages, emails, and even video recordings of Nathan's manipulative behavior. Ryan was by my side every step of the way, offering not just his assistance, but his unwavering belief in me. "You're stronger than you realize," he said one evening as we sorted through documents. "Nathan and Vivian underestimated you. That's their mistake." For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. The first hearing for custody was scheduled within a week. As I walked into the courtroom, my nerves were frayed, but Ryan's presence gave me strength. Nathan and Vivian sat across the room, their expressions smug, as if they believed they had already won. But Amelia was prepared. She presented a compelling case, detailing Nathan and Vivian's emotional abuse and their attempt to use Liam as leverage. The evidence spoke for itself, and by the end of the hearing, the judge ruled in my favor, granting me temporary custody of Liam. As I left the courtroom holding my son, tears streamed down my face, not of despair, but of relief. The first battle had been won, but the war was far from over. Back at my parents' house, I held Liam close, vowing never to let him be used as a pawn again. Ryan sat beside me, his hand resting lightly on my shoulder. "This is just the beginning, Eleanor," he said. "We've won one fight, but now we need to make sure Nathan and Vivian can't come after you or Liam again." I nodded, my resolve hardening. "I'm ready, Ryan. Whatever it takes, I'll protect my son and my company." They won't win. Even with Liam safely back in my arms, I knew the battle was far from over. Nathan and Vivian weren't the kind of people who accepted defeat easily. The very next day, Amelia called to inform me that Nathan had filed a counterclaim, trying to paint me as an unfit mother. "They're desperate," Amelia said over the phone. "But this works in our favor. The more they push, the more they reveal their true motives. We need to stay ahead of them." The following weeks were grueling. Nathan and Vivian didn't just try to take Liam back. They also renewed their attempts to gain control of my company. I received letters from their lawyer demanding meetings, and at one point, Nathan even showed up at my parents' house, banging on the door and yelling threats. Ryan called the police immediately, and they escorted Nathan away. It was clear that his desperation was escalating, but instead of fear, I felt a surge of determination. Amelia helped me file for a restraining order, which was granted, preventing Nathan and Vivian from coming near me or Liam. It was a small victory, but it gave me the breathing room I needed to focus on the next steps. One of the most critical aspects of my fight was protecting my company. With Ryan's support, I worked closely with Amelia to secure the business. We restructured the company's ownership, placing it under a trust that could only be accessed by me or Liam. Nathan tried every trick in the book, spreading false rumors about my company, contacting my clients, and even attempting to file bogus claims against me. But I stayed strong, knowing that his desperation was proof of his weakness. The custody and divorce trials were scheduled for the same week. The courtroom was tense as Nathan and Vivian sat across from me, their lawyer trying to spin a narrative of me as a selfish and absent mother. But Amelia was relentless. She presented a timeline of events showing how Nathan and Vivian had emotionally abused me during my pregnancy, denied me medical help, and even taken Liam from me. The judge's expression grew colder with every piece of evidence. When it was my turn to speak, I stood up and faced the courtroom with confidence. I trusted Nathan with my heart, my life, and my future. Instead of being a partner, he tried to take everything from me: my child, my company, and my dignity. I will not let him continue to hurt me or my son. The final blow came when Ryan testified, sharing how he had been the one to take me to the hospital when Nathan and Vivian refused to help. His words painted a clear picture of their cruelty, leaving no doubt about their true nature. The court ruled in my favor on all counts. I was granted full custody of Liam, and Nathan was ordered to pay child support and damages for his actions. The divorce was finalized, and I was free from him forever. Nathan and Vivian also faced criminal charges for their coercion and attempts to extort me. The judge sentenced them to community service and hefty fines, ensuring they couldn't walk away unscathed. With the legal battles behind me, I finally felt a sense of peace. Liam and I settled into a new routine, surrounded by the love and support of my parents and Ryan. Over time, Ryan and I grew closer. His unwavering support during my darkest days had shown me the kind of partner I deserved, someone who stood by me, believed in me, and never sought to diminish my light. One evening, as we watched Liam toddling around the living room, Ryan took my hand. "Eleanor," he said softly, "I've loved you for a long time. Watching you fight for your son and your future has only made me love you more. Will you let me be a part of your life, not just as a friend, but as a partner?" Tears filled my eyes as I nodded. "Yes, Ryan. I'd be honored." Nathan and Vivian had tried to break me, but they had failed. I emerged stronger, with my son in my arms, my company thriving, and a future filled with hope. Ryan and I married a year later in a small, intimate ceremony. Standing at the altar with him and Liam by my side, I finally felt the happiness I had once dreamed of. This was my new beginning, a life built on love, strength, and resilience. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring and captivating stories. Your support means the world to us and helps us create even better content for you. Thank you.